Is there a link between the floods of Noah, or the times of Noah, I guess, and the Antichrist and the end times? That's what we're going to be talking about today, you guys, because I haven't fully drawn a conclusion, because I thought we could go through this together, because I want to read through the passage of scripture that I'm referring to, and then also this analysis that I found online, because I thought it'd be fun for us to do together, because I have my own theories about how, I believe that the enemy has been working on a long, consistent plan, that he's consistently improving and adjusting as time is going on. And I do believe that the events of the floods of Noah are affecting part of also the story to which of what we end up with in the end times and with the Antichrist. Part of the reason I also say that is because we see that obviously in the garden with Adam and Eve, we have the snake, and then by the time we get to the book of Revelations, the Bible talks about that snake as the ancient snake, and Jesus coming to defeat the ancient snake, the snake that should have been destroyed before, which is why the Bible also refers to Jesus as being like a second Adam, coming to do what Adam should have did in the garden. So let's first of all start with the scripture. If you can notice this blue lighting, is because it's my laptop screen just shining on my face. Should I turn that down a little bit? Maybe let's turn it down just a little bit. All right, let's get into it. I want you guys to hear this. We're going to start first of all in reading Revelations 13. I'll be reading from the Passion Translation, just for FYI. So let's read through the story. Now, I want you guys to remember, if you don't know, this is part 11 of this big whole long series I'm doing about Noah, the flood, and all this stuff. If you didn't know, first of all, go and check those other videos out first, because all the videos are done in a specific order for a specific reason, and I did it separately because otherwise we'd have like a, I don't know how many hour long video, and also some people just have certain questions about specific topics, so I tried to separate all the bits so it's just each individual section as you go. But yes, so we talked about the things in the sea, and I told you guys that, and I kept alluding to the fact that when God was talking about wiping everything out, he kept talking about wiping out humans, wiping out the birds of the heavens and the animals and whatever, and the creeping things on the land, but nothing happened to the ground. But we also discovered through the book of Enoch, which is not a biblical text, but is another type of text. I can't remember the word for it that I'm forgetting. But anyways, Enoch, was the great grandfather of Noah. And in his book, he didn't die. He went to be with the Lord, and he got to do a lot of things and commented on a lot of what happened, because God actually gave it up to Enoch to be the one to judge these watcher angels that were sleeping with the women. And so one of the things that he mentions in the book of Enoch, which we covered already, is that these giants were sinning against even the animals and the fish of the sea and the this and the that. So I have the belief, and I've said this to you guys, that I'm of the belief that there are a lot of these chimeric style, characters that we've seen historically in the mythologies and stuff, I believe are real. I believe they're resultant of all the weird, degenerate, twisted, sick behavior that was going on around the times of the giants and the things that they were doing, because they were very lawless, to the point that, the men and women were crying. The humans couldn't handle the amount of destruction that was coming at the hands of these giants, despite the fact that they were created between the angels and the humanity. And we came together, we chose to do this, and we had to pay the consequences. I believe that at that time there were a lot of whatever weird types of creatures that were in the ocean, because let's not forget, according to the floods of Noah, according to the cataclysm that took place 12,400 years ago, the sea level rose 400 feet, right? So if the sea level has risen 400 feet, and that's just one thing, right? But also whatever's in the sea, and if it can live in the sea, so if these giants have formed these creatures that can also exist in the waters, but are also not completely, but are also some weird angelic mixture with the creatures, with humanity, I do believe this is where we get things like, for example, mermaids. And I've said to you guys before that there are around the world, you can search it, and it's in an old video, but I took the video down for reasons. But you can search it. There's places around the world where they have issues with things like mermaids and all these things. I talked about how people sacrifice gold, and a lot of the gold industry, a lot of the things that started out with the gold was sacrificing gold to these gods in the waters. This is where we get the tradition of throwing money into the water. Like when you go to fountains and you throw money into the water. Yeah, that's where that tradition comes from, throwing gold into sacrifice to these gods that we believe lived under the waters. So that's where I'm saying that I think there's a lot of creatures that have just been existing and growing and thriving that are going to rear their ugly heads at some point and be another faction of the force, if you will, of the kingdom of darkness, the Satan's equivalent of the Marines, right? And we have in there, I would say, things like the Loch Ness monster, things like the Kraken, things like what's the other one? Hydra, all these like water based like creatures. I truly believe that these things are going to like reveal themselves one day, and we're going to discover that, oh, that wasn't just made up, like this is for real. So that's where I'm basing my theory off of. And just like how the snake developed from being just a snake to becoming the ancient snake, I believe that's what's happening with these things in the deep waters, as I mentioned in one of the previous videos, in the Lake Loch Ness. That water, let's actually, while we're here, because I've got my laptop, how deep is Lake, how deep? It's actually the first one that came up as well. Crazy. 788 feet deep. What? It's the deepest loch as well. Lake Loch Ness. That is, okay. Wow. So there you go, right? So all I'm saying is, right, we as humans and our technology, we're not as smart as we think we are. Like I've said, this is one of the biggest issues they had with the cataclysm from 12,400 years ago, and why the archaeologists and also some scientists want to deny the very tangible, clear observational evidence, as in the literal evidence in all of these places all over the world, because they don't like the idea that there was potentially a technology or a group or an existence of some kind of humanity prior that was more technologically capable, more intelligent than we are, because we have built all of our science based on the fact that we believe we are the apex of all of humanity. So that's where the issue comes from. So you guys can go and check those other videos out, like I said, and I'm just giving you the basis for my own personal theory. So now let's read in the book of Revelation. The Beast Out of the Sea is the title, and you guys are going to see where we're going with this. We've only got to read just the first 10 verses. So here we go. Revelation 13. Then I saw a wild beast rising from the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads. On its horns were 10 royal crowns, and on its head were blasphemous names. It was like a leopard with feet like a bear's, and its mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon shared his power, throne, and great authority with the great beast. One of the heads of the wild beast seemed to have received a deathly wound. But the wound had been healed after this. Now, okay, we won't go into what my thoughts are just yet. The whole world was filled with fascination and followed the wild beast. They worshipped the dragon because he had given the beast its ruling authority. The dragon, interesting. They also worshipped the wild beast, saying, "Who is the wild beast, and who is able to make war against him?" The wild beast was given a mouth to speak boastful and blasphemous words, and he was permitted to exercise authority for 42 months. Interesting. So the wild beast began to blaspheme against God, blaspheming his holy name and his dwelling place, and that is those who dwell in heaven. The beast was given the authority to wage war against the holy believers, and he was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. Everyone on earth will worship the wild beast, those whose names have not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of the life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has been given ears to hear, he'd better listen. For the one who leads others into captivity he goes. The one who kills others by the sword he will put to death. This is a call for endurance and faithfulness of the holy believers. Deep. Every time the Bible tells us to endure and have faith, like to endure, I just feel like crying, because I just think, wow, if that isn't the word. So we see the beast that is rising from the sea, right, with these 10 horns and this, that, and the other. I truly believe there is a whole civilization of these creatures underwater. I've said to you guys before, there are a lot of around the world cultures where they do things with the waters, like they like sacrifice people into the waters. Like I said, I've already said about the gold in the waters, or going and plunging themselves in the water and connecting with the spirits. There are places where if you try to mess with certain waters, apparently certain creatures try to kill people. Listen, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying that these stories are there, and I'd rather be open to believing them and be able to know and do something about them and be prepared than not believe them and then at the last minute have to deal with the situation that they actually exist and I didn't even bother to ever consider that these things actually existed. So there you go. So anyways, we're here. So a beast emerges. So we're reading through this analysis, and I wanted to read this analysis because I like to read the analysis. The people do really hard work out there for the Lord, and it's nice to read what they've said and show some appreciation and see what the Lord showed other people. So we've got here enterthebible.org is the website. And the summary is: a beast emerges from the sea and receives authority from the dragon. It enjoys a broad domain over the people of the earth and makes war on the people of God. So the analysis: the beast from the sea is Satan's agent on earth. Satan was pictured as a seven-headed dragon. The beast also has 7 heads. The beast is the counterpart to the lamb, who is the agent of God, so like a nemesis in a way. Both the beast and the lamb are said to have been slaughtered and yet returned to life. So notice how it says we noticed in the scriptures, it said that the beast had a fatal wound that had been healed. So again, if it's a fatal wound, it shouldn't have healed, but according to this beast, it has done. So again, it's a mockery of the lamb, as it's saying here. Both the beast and the lamb are said to have been slaughtered and yet returned to life, but their similarities cease. No, it's to be slaughtered and yet returned to life, but there the similarity ceased. The beast is in fact a mockery of the lamb, whereas the lamb was slaughtered. The beast only appears to die and come back to life, whereas the lamb conquers by faithful suffering. The beast conquers by violent warfare, whereas the lamb redeems people of every tribe and nation. The beast oppresses people of every tribe and nation. And then that's covered more in Revelation 5 and 13. Readers living in New Testament times would have understood that the Lamb was a present reality for them, a present reality. Similarly, they would have understood that the power of the beast was a present reality for them, and this meant that they were called to resist it. So that's another really good point here about like when the Bible is talking about all these different things in scriptures, that a lot of the Bible is talking about the future. Like God is outside of time. You got to understand that. So God is outside of time, so he knows that at any given time, at all different times, things can happen. The same thing or the same ideas can happen. I believe a lot of these events, we go through seasons where we're going through something that's happening, that's already happened a number of times, and then I believe there's like the penultimate time when that thing happens. So for example, like with the floods of Noah, was a season in of itself, right? Noah, the times of Noah and the floods. But I also believe we're in the times of Noah now, in the sense that we're seeing a lot of similar things like what went down with Noah. And as I gave you guys the definition of a cataclysm, because I compared the times of Noah to the cataclysm from 12,400 years ago, like I said, the definition was this: a large-scale and violent event in the natural world, or a sudden, violent political or social upheaval. So that could be something that we could be seeing today, that type of cataclysm. So like I'm saying, these things that happen, and then they happen again. So here, he's saying that there was a very present reality, like the lamb who was slain for them, and how Jesus was the lamb, but also the power of the beast. And again, it's true today. The power of the beast, the power of the enemy in the world today, it's exactly the same today as it is there, as it will be in the end at the end times. And then goes to say, the beast represents a form of tyrannical power that is operated at many times and places. Daniel recounts a vision of various empires pictured as a lion, bear, leopard, and 10-horned monster. Daniel 7, 1-8. Yet all of these are included in the one great beast in Revelation. Interesting. Moreover, the beast's 7 heads are later identified with the 7 hills of Rome, indicating that the kind of threat posed by the beast was part of the world in which John's first readers lived. Wow, that's so interesting. Many people refer to the beast as the Antichrist, although that term is not used in Revelation itself. The popular depictions of the Antichrist are created by combining various New Testament passages like pieces of a puzzle. The term Antichrist comes from the Johannine epistles. First John and Second John. Although those passages refer to multiple antichrists, some then attach this name to the beast of Revelation 13, and these passages are combined with references to the lawless one. Isn't that interesting? Because that's how, again, that these people were described by when we were talking about what was in the ocean and what these creatures were in the times of Noah, the lawless ones, the lawless ones. So we're seeing this same exact thing being mentioned in Second Thessalonians. This is a way of combining passages, is part of some Christian interpretive traditions, but it includes many things that are not found in Revelation itself and goes beyond any particular biblical texts. That's quite interesting. So basically what he's saying here is that this antichrist thing, it is a thing, but not maybe in the way that it's been pitched. But again, it's the similar thing to like what I was saying just now. Like when you go through the cycles, you have there is the devil's version of the Christ, the anti, like if you have Christ, you have the antichrist. You know what I mean? You have two sides. You have the hero, the villain, the whatever, right? And so here it's just kind of talking about where that all comes from. And again, I believe there were antichrists. I believe it's like a spirit in and of itself. And again, we'll see that happening in seasons where there'll be versions of antichrist like behaviors or spirits, right? People masking to be the Christ but are not actually the Christ. We see a lot of that today in a lot of religions. But then there'll be the penultimate, the final Christ of all, antichrist of all, that will be there at the end times, if that makes sense. So this is why I believe that all of this stemmed back from the floods of Noah, because we're talking about the lawless ones again. We're talking about these creatures coming out from the waters. How did they get there? We're talking about these creatures of mixed heritage, because like I said, mixed species, right? Because like I said, the giants are said to have been sinning against all the animals and creatures and everything. So it would make sense that after all this time, potentially, yes, underneath the waters of wherever, we've got a half lion, half bear, leopard, 10-horned, this, that, the other, because this is what we know they were doing. They were procreating, they were messing around with the genetics and the species that the Lord God had created. So to me, this isn't that kind of shocking. I kind of feel like, yeah, this is probably exactly what actually did happen. But you guys tell me what you think. But I just thought that might be a really potentially interesting link between the book of Revelation and the end times and the Antichrist and the floods of Noah. And I kind of feel like this beast is kind of like somewhat of a yeah, we'll leave it there. I don't want to add anything to the Bible, but I hope that was helpful and I hope that was interesting. Like I said, it was just something I wanted to kind of add in as a bonus to kind of think about as part of this video. And just because like I said, I do believe there is just this running theme of like things that had happened and things that then happen like later, like things that happened things that happened in the early of the Bible, and then we don't really hear about certain things, and then we see the result of it at the end. Like I was saying about the snake, we have the snake, we don't really hear so much about the snake, the serpent, again, until we hear about the ancient snake in Revelations. So what was happening in that time? What exactly were these things doing? Well, evolving, right? Evolving into something else, growing. Kind of similar like a Pokemon, right? When you have a Pokemon, you walk with the Pokemon, and then once you walk to a certain amount, you hatch an egg. The egg is the next evolution, and you evolve. So what was the snake doing and all these creatures? Well, any of the ones that were in the sea could have just literally been evolving all these years. And I believe genuinely this is where these things are going to come from in the last days or the end times. You guys know I don't really like to talk about that a lot because I feel like it's a bit of a cop out for a lot of people today to just like obsess over the end times and then like not actually have to do anything about the world you live in today and just be like waiting for Jesus, which I don't like that. But nevertheless, we still have to address the fact that like this is is what could be happening, because ultimately the evil is still growing in the world and the problems are being created quicker than they're being solved. And the devil is trying his very best to cause the maximum amount of destruction and particularly distraction against Christ and ineffectiveness within the body of Christ, and absolutely preparing for the final war because he knows he's going to lose, but his goal is just to take as many people down with him. And when you think about it like that, think about how insidious that is. It's not even just that he thinks he's going to win, he thinks he's got a chance. He knows he's going to lose. He knows exactly what's going to happen, but his plan is just to take as many of us with him. And that's why I make these videos, to say that, well, let's receive the Lord God in our lives, because the Bible says that oh my gosh, what was I about to say? And if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that he was raised from the dead, then you shall be saved. That is Romans 10:9. So believe that today, y'all. This has been the actually, you know what? I won't do Nimrod today. I won't do Nimrod. So we'll leave this here for this series. If I decide to do the Nimrod video, I'll add it to this playlist as well when I do it, because I feel like maybe I should stew on it and maybe do a bit more of a deep dive before I really go into Nimrod and get into the crux of just the Freemasonry element. I think I might actually do it that way. So then we can kind of see, like, we've seen a bit of a development from the beginning to the end of certain parts, but how does that look as far as the people, not just the animals or the creatures? What were the physical human beings who were being the vessels? You guys let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed the series. If this is the first video you've watched out of the series, don't forget to check out the introduction video to figure out what this is all about. Because that will give you all the context that you need. But other than that, you guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. God bless every single one of you. God loves you. I love you. Life's a game. Let's play to win. And I'll see you in my next one.